on my iPad because I'd taken a bunch of videos of my grandbabies during Christmas, and I didn't have a whole lot of room, so I had to transfer those to another computer and delete a bunch of stuff so I could do this. So hopefully I'll be able to get through it this time. Haven't done a haul video for quite a while. First thing, a couple days ago, I stopped at Ollie's discount outlet. I'm sure you've probably seen Howler Mouse and maybe some other people show some hauls they got from there. You got like a big stacks of like DC trades and hardbacks for like 85% off. And I didn't go in there and stay a long time, but I just kind of went in there and dipped my toe in just to see if there was something that I wanted or needed. And I got some great stuff. I'll just kind of show you what I got here. Now this is Joe Kubert Presents. This kind of collects the 6-issue series that it put out maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was actually the last thing that Joe Kubert did, and a lot of great stories and art in here. Got Joe Kubert doing a lot of the art. Sam Glanzman, who you'll recognize from a lot of the old war comics, did a lot of the USS Stevens stories, which was actually like a biographical thing. Paul Levitz did some of the writing, and there's actually a story in here that's got Commandy teamed up with the Demon. It was written by Joe Kubert, but drawn by Brandon Vietti. But a lot of great stuff in here, a lot of black and white and tonal stuff, and some color stuff by Joe Kubert. This is a great little thing called the Redeemer. I think this was something that Joe would want to do for a long time, and it's like a little sci-fi fantasy character, so it's pretty good stuff. I think I have all these like in the regulars in the floppies, but I thought I'd just go ahead and get this. Like I say, got some great Kubert artwork in here. Just like I say, this was the last stuff that Joe did before he passed away. I think he was working on something else when he actually died, but this is the last thing that he actually got published. So, like I say, I got this as Ollie's. I mean, it's like a $20 book for like $4. So it's kind of nice little package, kind of hard to beat. Another book found was Legion of Superheroes Archives, the 4th volume. This is one that I didn't have, and these are like $50 books retail, and they're like $7. It reprints some great old stories from Adventure Comics. Looks like a lot of Kurt Swan covers there, maybe some of the interiors. Just great stuff for you Legion fans, and it's got a great Adam Hughes cover, so that's pretty neat. Still on the shrink wrap, brand new. Can't beat it. And this is the only volume of Showcase Presents House of Mystery that I didn't have. They had like 3 volumes, and these are like the black and white reprints, which really I kind of prefer, for the most part, my horror, to be in black and white. These books are like $17, and I got this for $3. There's almost like 600 pages in these things, and it reprints. I think this is like 195 through 211 of House of Mystery, and lots of great artists. Neil Adams, Bernie Wrightson, Alex Nino, Alfredo Alcala. All the Filipino guys, the Redondo Studio. Just some great stuff. And I really love seeing the black and white art. You can kind of really pay attention to the details and how good it was. Just some great stuff. Here's like reprinting one of the covers. This is just a sample, like some of the books or some of the issues this is reprinted from. So just a lot of great black and white art. I think it's Jim Aparo on that one. It's one of the few mystery stories he did. So that's pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, I love the color art, but for horror stuff, I really kind of prefer black and white. Last book I got was Batman Illustrated by Neil Adams, 2nd volume. This is another like $50 book for like $7, still in the shrink wrap. This reprints a lot of the early Batman stuff that Neil did for DC, and I've probably got most of that stuff, if not all of it. And but this is just a great little package and a good way to read it in a little bigger format. So, pretty cool book. And yesterday, I actually stopped in a comic shop for the first time in a long time. And I'm not buying many new books nowadays. I may or may not get back into that, but one thing that is like a must-have to me, I got to find all the Planet of the Apes stuff. So I knew this was out, but I wasn't sure he was going to have it. And I was kind of surprised that he was. But this is a 1 of 6 series. It's Planet of the Apes, Ursus. So you see General Ursus. Guys that know about the original Planet of the Apes, this was the Ape General from the second movie, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Kind of starts in like right after Taylor and the other astronauts got captured or killed, and kind of showed the behind the scenes stuff, and kind of goes back and flashes back to Ursus' beginnings. So really cool cover. I'd really like to get. There's a variant that Bob Larkin did. It was going to be the cover for Planet of the Apes magazine number 30, which never got published back in the 70s, and that's one of the variant covers. And he didn't have it, but I'm going to try to get online and see if I can find that one, because that's a really cool cover. I think it's got him like painted outside of like the White House. And but anyway, looking forward to reading this one and getting the rest of them. Only new book I got. And the guy that the shop that I go to, this guy, he had a smaller shop and then he moved to a bigger place. It seems like I've checked in there like every couple of weeks or so, and he just keeps getting like more back issues in. And he's got like a real nice selection of like books like $2, $1, $1.50. Got 50-cent boxes. I was really surprised because all the rest of these books came from the 50-cent and dollar bins, and probably some late Bronze Age, early modern age stuff, but just some stuff where I like the art of the artist or I like that run. Nothing of note, really. Just stuff that I enjoy. And I was really kind of pleased to find this stuff like in 50-cent bins. Most of it in really, really nice shape. Here we have Doom Patrol number 3, the late 80s series. A lot of these are what I call the post-crisis books, and after that, I probably bought everything that came out, at least a few issues, and I think I bought like the first issue and maybe a few after, but these are like some early ones. This issue 3 got some great story and art by Paul Cooperberg and Steve Lytle, who, Steve Lytle did a bunch of stuff for DC and Marvel, did the Legion of Superheroes and some other stuff. But really nice cover there. Another one here is number 2. Like I say, these were most of these were in the 50-cent bins. But another great cover, Robot Man. Another favorite character of mine. I think I've got a couple issues of this series. I think it ran 8 issues. This was like early 90s stuff. Ragman. And you got Pat Broderick on the art. Okay, like I say, I'm a big Legion of Superhero fan, and this book here I've already got probably a couple of issues of this. This is like the beginning of the Great Darkness saga. Paul Levitz and Keith Giffen. But anytime I see this stuff cheap, I have to pick it up. And it's a cool book. Got a great cover. Okay, and actually this title, probably as far as like keeping track, this was actually the second volume of Legion of Superheroes. The first was like in the early 70s. There was like 4 issues with like reprinted some Silver Age stuff. There were like 20-cent covers. I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm talking about. So when Superboy, the title changed to Superboy and the Legion, probably around issue 259 or 260, it changed over just to the Legion of Superheroes. And later on, when they started publishing a Baxter version of that book, they were like reprinting those stories like in the cheaper versions. And this is, I need to still probably get 8 or 10 to collect that whole series. There's like 354, but I found the last issue. And I don't know why this has been kind of elusive for me. It was just some great stuff. I love the Legion. I'm kind of hoping after all this Doomsday Clock stuff that they'll bring it back in some form, like the JSA and Captain Marvel or Shazam, I guess. Yeah, just pretty happy to find that. Hit some dollar bins. There's some Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. I didn't have this one. One of the few that I didn't have from that run. Fighting the Lizard. And here's a title I think is like really, really underrated. I think Sleepy Reader and I kind of had a few comments back and forth about, this book doesn't get as much recognition as it should get. Legends of the Dark Knight, came out in the early 90s, or probably 89, 90 first started. And they would always be like, like 5-issue arcs for a story. But this one was by Doug Minch and Paul Galassi. Terry Austin on the inks. This is one I did not have. And this thing, it ran, way over 100 issues, this title. But some really great stories. Some more Batman. I always liked Norman Breyfogel's run on Batman when he was inked by Steve Mitchell. There's Detective Comics 611. Another dollar bin find. Really nice cover. And filling in some gaps in my saga of the Swamp Thing. I've got all the originals from the 70s, but this is the second series. Started out as Saga of the Swamp Thing and then kind of just changed to Swamp Thing later on, but I was missing a few of the Alan Moore issues. So here's issue 48. And these are all like dollar books. Alan Moore and John Totleben. Issue 60. It's a really cool cover. It's almost like a picture frame cover. More Alan Moore and Totleben. And this is after Alan Moore's run. We got some great art in it. I think it's Tom Mandrake and Alfredo Alcala on the art. And I think this volume of Swamp Thing probably around 150 issues, maybe 151. But I'm really trying to get like 1 through 100, and that was like some of the best stuff. I think Alan Moore stopped writing in the 60s, but after Tom Veitch took over, there was really some great stories in there too. So I'm trying to fill in all my gaps there. Okay, here's some Bronze Age. Getting towards the end of the Bronze Age. It's Green Lantern 180 by the late great Len Wein and Dave Gibbons of Watchmen fame. And I think this one actually kind of crosses over into the Trial of the Flash story where he was on trial for murder, which is kind of funny because on the Flash TV show, he's kind of in jail for murder now. Cool book. I got 3 more. Here's an issue of Kazar, number 8. Really cool cover. This is probably a VG Plus maybe. It's a little rough around the edges, but still a cool book. It's got some killer Buscema and Alfredo Alcala art. Alcala did the inks on this, on the interior. So not bad for a buck. Marvel Team Up 147, Spider-Man and the Human Torch. Here's an early John Romita Jr. cover. I think as far as Junior goes, a lot of people love him, a lot of people hate him. But this was early in his career, I think. And I always love Marvel Team Up. It was always a cool book. Okay, last but not least, an issue of Defenders I had missing. And I want to go back because he's got like a lot of later issues, like where it's really, I don't call it, I always call it Defenders Light, where you had like Moondragon and Gargoyle and Valkyrie, Hulk and Submariner, all those guys were gone by then. But I think they're all like in the 50-cent and dollar bins, and I just want to kind of complete that run, so I'll probably be going back and picking those up. But anyway, this is a really cool Hulk cover. This is number 56. The Defenders. Okay. Well, guys, that's all I got. Glad that you tuned in. Hope you liked it. Hope everybody's having a good week. And I know a lot of guys in the community are either sick or getting over being sick. I had to deal with that stuff for probably 6-7 weeks myself.